Hello learners, I'm Mr. Saul, and today we're going to continue our conversation about light. But before we jump into how light travels, I want you to think about all the things that you've learned so far about light. Just take a couple of moments, we're going to pause and you can share out. Alright, welcome back. So now that you've got your brains thinking about light, let's cover what we've learned. We know that light is all around us, and we can't taste light or hear it or feel it, but we can use our eyes to see light. Now there are two main kinds of lights. We have artificial light, which means it was light that was made by people or humans. That could be things like the light coming from a light bulb, the light coming from a store sign, or even the light coming from our devices, our tablets and computers and phones. The other kind of light that we have is natural light. This is light that humans did not make, but that occurs naturally in nature. There's the sun, which is our biggest source of natural light and responsible for much of the life on Earth. There's also things like lightning, fire, and even some types of bioillumination that come from animals making their own light. Now, in order for us to see any of these sources of light, the light has to travel from the source to our eye. When it travels in that straight line from the source to our eye, we call that a ray. Maybe you've heard someone talking about a ray of sunshine. Rays are what we call light that travels in a straight line from the source to our eye, a ray of light. We also see flashlights using rays where they're shining out the beam of light that will illuminate or light up the things around you. Now, light will almost always try to leave its source traveling in all directions. Think about the sun shining all around with light coming out from all different places around the sun. That's why we put lampshades on our lamps, so we can make the light only go where we want it to. That's also why flashlights have a small mirror inside that will make sure that the light stays going in the direction that we want and that we don't get blinded by it when we're using it. As we know, humans use light for many different things. I could have an open window that lets in the sunlight to warm my house and give me light. I could use my flashlight to read in the dark. I could use my lampshade to give my house light. I have the light that's in my phone and devices that lets me see what's going on the screen. Now, as we know, if I look at a source of light, I can tell exactly where that light is coming from, and I know that it's moving in a straight line. But when the light hits other things before it hits my eyes, those things can have very different behaviors. And what we can call those is the three main ways that light will interact or behave with different things. So first we have things that are opaque. This one's very easy. It's kind of a weird looking word, but opaque just means no light's going to pass through it. So if I have a light shining in my face, oh that's bright, and I put something that's opaque, like this piece of cardboard, in front of the light, it's going to totally block that light. You guys cannot see any light coming through this piece of cardboard. So this piece of cardboard we would call opaque. Opaque, that's a Q. And that is not going to let any light in. None of the light will be able to pass through this piece of cardboard. So there are many things that are opaque. Things that are metal are opaque, things that are wood are opaque, lots of things are opaque. Next up, we have things that are translucent. Translucent things will let some of the light through. So if something is translucent, think of it as blocking a lot of the light but still letting some through. So once again, why do I keep doing that? I have my flashlight, now I'm going to put a piece of paper in front of it. Okay? Now, it made the light a lot dimmer. It blocked a lot of the light, but it did not block all of the light. As you can see on my piece of paper, you can still see some of the light coming through. That means that this piece of paper is translucent. Translucent means some of the light can get through. So another thing that's translucent that I use all the time is my sunglasses. Sunglasses will block some of the light, but not all of it, right? I'm not walking around with sunglasses that block out everything because then that would be stupid. But I do have my dark glasses, and these are going to block out a lot of the light. Light still comes through, so I can still see, but they're gonna make it a lot easier to see because it's gonna block out a lot of that light. So only some light can come through things that are translucent. Now another type of interaction that light can have with things is if the thing is transparent. And a transparent thing will let through almost all of the light. Will go through something that's transparent. So something that's transparent might be the piece of glass that's in the front of my flashlight here. It could also be the glass in my safety goggles. These won't protect me from the sunlight, but they do let me see everything around me without darkening it, and they're not going to let through solid things, but all the light in the room can still come into these glasses. That's because these lenses are transparent. They let all the light through. If I have darker lenses, these are translucent because they only let some of the light through. And if I have totally blocking light, then that is opaque. None of that light is getting through. One last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is shadows. Shadows come from when something opaque gets in the way of a source of light and something else. So, for example, if I have my flashlight and it's a source of light, and then I have my piece of cardboard, if I'm shining my flashlight here and I put my piece of cardboard in front of it, I can see the shape of the cardboard very easily because it is blocking that light. It is making sure that none of the light gets through, and that's going to leave that blank space behind it that's called a shadow. I can also do shadows with my hands. Here I have a dog or a bird, right? But I'm doing those shapes just by blocking the light because my hands are opaque. They're not going to let any light pass them. That means the light has to go around them, and it leaves the shadow or the shape of whatever is blocking that light. So if something is going to get in the way of a ray of light, it's going to cast a shadow behind it. So what I want you guys to do now is take a moment and just look around your house. Can you see any transparent items that are letting all the light through? Maybe you have a window, or maybe you have an aquarium or a fish tank. Do you have any translucent items? Maybe a pair of sunglasses, something that's only letting through some of the light. And finally, do you have anything that's opaque? Something that's going to block out all of the light and not let any light come through. I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation about light, and we'll be back next time and we'll continue our conversation about light and talking about other ways it can interact with the world.